Hi there, I'm John Muir Laws, and this is the Nature Journal Workshop. Did you know that hiding in your house is a little beastie who's going to help you draw wild cats and lions and help you understand animal structure? That's right, it's your own little house cat. If you have a cat at home, it is an incredible opportunity to get close to wildness because they're basically a wild creature. Um, and if you practice drawing your house cat, you are going to be ready for when that bobcat comes across your trail, or if you're lucky to spot a mountain lion. Studying the anatomy of a house cat will also help you be able to draw wild dogs, any other large mammal that you see. Before you continue on and kind of go along this workshop, I'm going to ask you to run around your house and find a few things. Get 2 colored pencils, one sort of a bluish, a blue colored pencil, and one that'll be kind of red-brown or rust-colored pencil. I'm also going to ask you to print out this mammal skeleton worksheet. This worksheet has the skeleton of a lion on it, and you can print this out. It's sort of faded in a grayscale back. You can print this out as a download from johnmuirlaws.com. If you go to the Here Kitty Kitty workshop, and you'll be able to find it there as a download. Also, if you're looking at this on YouTube, in the show notes below, you're going to see a link to where you can download that worksheet. So print that out, and partway through this workshop, it's going to be useful to do that. I'm also going to suggest that as the workshop is going on, you get a piece of paper and you start drawing and sketching the sorts of images that we're seeing on the screen. That's going to help this stuff stick in your brain much better than just watching. It turns out if you just watch a video, most of it your brain is just going to dump and erase. But if as you're watching this and any other educational tutorial video, you take notes, visual and written notes, it's going to really help that stuff stick in your head. So get those materials together, and we'll see you in a moment. So welcome to the Drawing Cats workshop. Let's get started by taking a close look at the face of a furless cat. Aren't these surprising? Take a moment and notice what is odd, what is unusual about these photographs to you. What would you not expect? How does it not look cat-like to you? Something that really stands out for me are these big zones sticking out around the eyes, these big sort of puffy eyes. Very high cheekbone right in here, very, very high cheekbones. I expected him to have these little kind of kitty nose and kitty lips, but this area in here, that's surprising to me. Also these very human-like eyelids. Notice this zone of thick tissue and bone going all the way around the eye. If you look at a skull of a cat, you're going to find very large, very pronounced cheekbones. And that's what you're seeing right in here, with some tissue going around those eyes as well. There's a little bump as we're kind of going around the eye. There's sort of this bonus bump right in here on either side. Notice that we have the zone of the nose, the eyes, there's a space, the ears attaching high up here and dropping down, depending on your angle, somewhere around the level of the, below the eye. Now let's take a look at a cat with fur. If you take a look at a number of kind of online how to draw cats videos, you'll see that they often are saying draw a circle, draw a line through that circle, and then your eyes, depending on the video, are going to be on that line, above that line, and then the nose, then you're measuring different distances down here for where the nose is, where the mouth is. Sometimes there's kind of a formula for you know, draw a circle below this, and this is where you're going to fit the kind of whole muzzle area in. The problem with these approaches to drawing cat faces is that if you superimpose a circle and a couple of circles in a line over the faces of different cats, these elements where the nose is going to show up in different places. So look at the one on the far right-hand corner, this bottom cat down here. This little kitty, its eyes are not on the line. This one, it's through the eye. This one is closer to the bottom of the eye. Well, what's going on here is that this cat is looking up. This cat and this cat are looking more straight at you, so that the little pad of the nose is about halfway down this circle, and it's at the top of this one. So having a formula of like where, kind of how to block out the head of a cat, that's gonna get you into difficulty. We do want to kind of keep the symmetry in the face of a cat, but let's kind of break it down and notice how we are going to construct these things. We're going to construct these little kitty faces. Here you see a lion face. This one on the side here, well, its eyes are way up here. And then look at how far you go down to the nose and the mouth. So big space here. This one, short space. Again, this cat is looking up towards you. This one is looking, its chin is tilted down more. So again, there's not going to be a formula of draw out this grid and you're going to get the lion face. The positions of these elements up and down is going to be different on different species that you're looking at. So now let's compare these two cats. Take a moment and notice what differences you see in the face of the house cat and the face of the lion. Pause the video and try to notice as many things as you can. If you're doing this with somebody else, say these observations out loud to each other. Let's do that now. So we notice one big thing is those eyes. Those eyes are really, really different. Not just that we have round pupils here and we have vertical elliptical pupils here, but these eyes are just a little over. You could fit another cat eye right in between there. And on these ones, 1, 2, 3, maybe they're 4 eyes apart. Here, the nose is narrow. And in this big space here, we have this big, broad nose. This little muzzle is cute and round. This one is elongate. And we have these pointed ears up here, rounded ears over there. You also probably noticed several other key differences in the structure between these animals, and that's good. I am going to make a little diagram here of how I might initially block out the shapes of these cats. Let's pause. I'm going to block out what I'm seeing in that basic lion head and that cat head. And we're going to see what kind of fundamental lines would be useful to get those down on paper. I'm going to start just with that house cat. And it has, you go about 1 eye length out, you've got eyes in this area and eyes in this area. The eyes slope down at an angle. So from this corner up here, Switch pencils to make this a little bit more clear. Coming down from those eyes is our little cat nose, and depending on whether the cat is looking straight at you, in which case the nose could be right in here, or if it has its head tilted down a little bit more, we're going to put a little nose right down here. I'm going to initially draw a triangle for its nose. There's a slight bump in the top of cat noses, and then on the sides of that triangle, there's a little divot. Then we have our cute cat cheeks that are going to pop out on either side. Zoom in here. Here are our cute cat cheeks. Cute cat cheek number 1, cute cat cheek number 2. And what you're going to see is a little bit of a suture down. I'll make a little triangle right here at the base of that. And here is cat. The base of cat face number 1. And they have a chin with various degrees of fuzziness. Sitting across like that. The cat has very prominent cheekbones, as we already had observed. And often there is right along those cheekbones also, there's going to be a color change. So sometimes that difference, that little mark in there, is also shown by not just a change in the slope, the angle, there may be a shadow in this little area of our kitty. Or a change in the darkness of it. If you're putting in the kitty cat ears, there is a space between the ears. You want to look at what is the shape. You can even track that down towards the eyes. How big is that space between those ears? Getting this negative shape is going to be critical in getting your cat to look right. So block in the negative shape between those ears. And then they're going to come down to, depending on how the angle that the cat is holding its head, they could come down to where you see, sort of down to where the eyes are. This one has its head down a little bit more. It's going to come somewhere in here. So I'm lightly drawing this in. I want a little bit more of a point on those ears. The bottom part of the ear has that extra bump. So the kitty ears are going to come out, sometimes to a little bit of a point there. And then the front part of this is going to be hidden with cat fur. And I'm going to put a little bit of detail into just one of these ears. There's long hairs that kind of stick out from here. I'm going to just suggest in a couple of those. And then here's the big deal. I am going to put in a shadow on this back edge. Instead of drawing hairs all the way out here, I want to kind of suggest that there is a bunch of fluff that is catching the light, and it's darker behind those. And the same thing gets copied over to the other side. Yeah. Here's a nice little feature. You want your cat head to look more catty. There's a sort of zone of tissue around the eyes going up to often a special little bump right here between the eyes. Sometimes there's little hairs sticking out of those. Speaking of hairs, on these pads here of the snout, there are going to be lines. Think of it as a round thing with this line wrapping around, wrapping around, wrapping around. Out of those whisker beds, that is where the whiskers are going to emerge. Don't draw in all the whiskers, or you just get this tangle of line, 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 line. Put in a few, and you're good to go. If this is the central axis of my eye, and I'm drawing a little house cat, I'll put that in, and then, ooh, check this out. It's going to have a highlight in this area, and the back wall of the eye is in shadow here, like that. Oh, see that? You got the highlight. There's this back zone in shadow. And over here on this eye, because the highlight's on that side, it's this eye. It's going to also get its highlight, but it may not have that full shadow because here the side is kind of, the light's coming around here. That eye actually, the back wall of the iris of this on this side may be getting full light. Lastly, I'm going to put in a little bit of tear duct suggestion coming down here. Right. So there's a little bit of blocking in that cat's face. Let's compare it to a lion. I'm going to start very much the same way. I want my eyes the same distance apart. But here I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4 eyes between these. And my long nose is coming down. My broad lion nose is going to be here. Now, instead of these little cute, puffy cat cheeks, the lion is going to have this down muzzle. And so we're going to have lion's mouth kind of coming down here, gives you this long face look for your lion. They're all, so if I start to put that in, here is eyes with tear ducts. You're going to come in and then out. I'm not going to draw that in a really, really hard line. I have a very broad nose with really broad nostrils. And then lions also have this area of dark tissue that's going to come up on the sides of the nostrils here. That makes those nostrils look even bigger. I'm going to go to that little dark triangle here and then down. boxy chin. This critter also gets big cheekbones, prominent cheekbones. So that's starting to look liony. If I want to give this eye a little bit of extra attention, you'll find around both the cat and the lion eyes, very often this pad, this zone of white, this pale white zone above it, you also get a little kind of on the inside here, that same thing. Makes those eyes really stand out much, much more because you can't hide those lion eyes. Don't put the pupil right, if you put the pupil right in the middle of the eye, it's going to have this hypnotized look. So I'll put the pupil often a little bit, kind of like it's looking up at you. Here are those same little pads up here. I'm going to make a big triangle. So stop sign face here. The ears are going to be coming off the head. Here, lions often have these kind of little divots out of their ears because they get in all sorts of lion scraps. So what is your lion hairdo going to be doing? Well, in a separate video, we'll be looking at drawing sort of shaggy versus short hair. For here, I'm just blocking in where my main event is going to be. So lion also has those whisker tracks. But if you get in there, you draw in all of those whiskers, it totally kills your picture. So just be aware of that. So that's looking at a little bit of lion coming at you, a little bit of kitty cat face. Very, very similar sorts of things going on here. Oh, I did it again. I made the eyes too big. Look at that. This cat with giant, giant, giant eyes. I have a tendency to make heads and eyes too big because, you know, they're so interesting that my brain gets attracted to that part and I overdo it. It's really easy to do this on lots of parts of a drawing that are interesting to you. You'll make the proportions of something that is really interesting to you much too big. So, you know, if you study hands, all of a sudden you're drawing the hands too big. So that is a closer look at those faces. Let's jump back to it for a second to those faces here. And you can see those broad nose. Look at the noses of the two animals. Look at the muzzles of the two animals. Compare those. And look at the white around even the house cat's eyes. It has those same little bright highlights around those part of the face. When you get to the ears, get to the ears. Oh, hey, you weren't supposed to be there. Well, sure, let's do eyes. Just a quick little thought on the eyes. So lion on the left and house cat on the right. Elliptical pupils, you get them in small cats, not the big cats. So don't put elliptical pupils on your lion. And if you are getting your Halloween costume and you want to be a cat person, well, if you're trying to be a lion, yeah, you can't use those cool little things that you stick on your eye that make your give you an elliptical pupil look, because that would be like, I'm a warehouse cat, and that's just not cool. So once you get kind of larger than a bobcat, you're not going to see the elliptical thing. Also notice the pale under the eyes of both of these. For the ear, here you can see that pouch, that extra sort of bump on the lower part of the ear, kind of pooching out here. That's often covered with a bit of fuzz. Unfortunately, all this craziness deep in the ear here is all covered up with fur. And that's what's going on in the ear. We've got the straight edge, we've got the curved edge, and that extra bump coming down there. And notice that it is coming in here more in profile. You see that coming in about the level of near part of the top of the eye. Of course, where you see that on the head of your critter as it's looking at you is going to depend on whether it's looking up or it's looking down. Here we have cat profiles. Oh, such beautiful animals. Look at the lights and darks and contrast around the eyes. All right, there's a little pale zone. You have the big chin on these lions, deep jaw, and a really broad triangle of the nose. When we compare lions, you see a lot of the same general features, but the proportions of the face, mountain lion on the right, African lion on the left, the proportions of those faces are going to be different. How big the nose is, how prominent the mouth is, the angle of the forehead, how much space you have between the eye and the ear. Those are going to be just those proportions can change. So you want to look at those on whatever beastie that you're drawing. And of course, if you compare these with a house cat, there are even more differences. So let's take a look for a moment at, I'm going to draw, let's see, where do I get back to? Ah, there we are. So we're going to take a look at the profile view of a cat here, and we'll look at how you might assemble that. So some cats, some wild cats, have in their profile a very, very sort of flat forehead. Others, you see that there is a bit more of an angle where, and that's not just, and this can even be within a species. You can have a lion with a very, very flat face. You have a lion with more of an angle where the eyes meet the face. The eye inside view is going to be doing that kind of classic V with a front curve. So I'm going to draw that in. So we've got a front curve, and there then is, in the tear duct area in front of that, light coming down. I mean, dark coming down from that. You'll have a zone in here of light. You'll have a zone in here of light right around the eye. For the nose is going to make a pad right up here. If you're drawing say a mountain lion, it's going to be smaller. African lion, it's going to be bigger. Right, so we'll make this into sort of an African lion style nose here. The African lion has a big puffy cheek, and the jaw sticks down. All right, so this big sort of drop jaw gives your critter a very kind of regal lion face. The head of the lion is deep because there's a huge jaw muscle back in here. And I draw often a curve along the side of the face to stick the ear into. So for this lion here, I'm going to come down. The back corner of the mouth is black. So you can kind of come back and hit that as a kind of dark accent, and that will kind of help your lion look liony. Grizzled chin. Now you want to give it that cheekbone. That helps. So this area would give you get a kind of a cool shadow in that area. And the those whisker tracks. Remember, this pad is curved, so you want to think of those whisker tracks curving around that, and those whiskers will be coming back from that. For the ear, oh, kind of just this drawing's running into the other, but that's all right. I'm going to, here's the upper edge of my ear, and I'm going to have an area up in this edge where, remember those big hairs that went in here? I'm just going to hit this with some shadow. And then there's some stuff up here that is going to give the sort of the suggestion of that there's some big fluffy earness going on. So there's a little bit of big cat from the side. But if I were drawing a house cat from the side, the house cat, the biggest change is right in here. It has this big, prominent forehead. So they get a cute little nose, a prominent forehead, little cat cheek here. But you can see the same basic structure as we had with the lion. Little tiny chin. And I have ears that go from a curved line in here and the back edge of that can have the biggest shadow. So my ear, I think of it as kind of coming across, sort of wrapping around this round head. Meow. So there's a little bit of cat face from the side. And the front. Let's jump back to a screen share for a moment and take a look at some cat faces again. All right. So now that we've had a chance to look at the sketches, this starts to make more sense. Here's my impression of the cheekbone, big nose, that dark corner of the mouth, that large chin, all those things really make this thing look lion-tastic. Ear dark towards the back. This is with the front part, why we weren't drawing dark all the way across there. That front part's all covered up with all those hairs. Lion, lion. See, same thing, big chin, same eye shape, that little bump above the eye. Here's that bump above the eye where those long eyebrow whiskers stick out. And our house cat. Big nose, little nose, big nose, little nose. But look at the same shape, same shape. It's a little nostril area in there, big nostril area in there. Think of the back of the ear curving around here, the front going across here, front going across here, the back of the ear curling in there. And then there's the 3/4 view. So we don't want to be afraid of the 3/4 view on our critters. I strongly suggest that as you're practicing drawing heads, you regularly practice front, side, and 3/4, front, side, and 3/4. And you don't have to get sort of a million variations of 3/4, just some kind of 3/4 look. And it will start to come together for you. So here is a 3/4 view that is, not quite as turned, but you're seeing a little bit of the far side of the head just sticking off there. This little bit of the lip in here. See this little bit of the lip business? A little bit of the far side of the head. That's all you need to turn that head, and the drawing becomes much, much, much more interesting. So we're going to do a little 3/4 view study here. And what I want you to really notice is that we're seeing a little bit of the forehead sticking out here, right? We're seeing lip Look at this lip shape. See, what we tend to do is draw things symmetrically. We draw this side at the same angle here, and we draw that coming down at the same angle. But no, look, this comes up steep and then comes out shallow. So shallow up here, then steeply cuts down here. Gentle curve up, steep down here. That one that's wrapping around the side, because it's foreshortened, you see that cutting down at a much steeper angle. A line that really helps you kind of keep track of what's going on is to visualize, follow this little line down the center of the head and imagine that it comes all the way through here. See that kind of, it would be coming right across the edge of the nose, right down here. When you're doing a 3/4 view, that line down the middle of the face is really, really important. So that's going to help us a lot, all right? We're going to draw a 3/4 view face. We're going to keep all these things kind of in mind, and we're going to see what we get. Here we are. So we're back at our base view here. So if I have my critter head and it's going to be looking in this direction, I want to think of sort of the line of my eyes curving around here. I'm going to make this a little house cat. And so from edge of one eye to the other here, it's going to be about that far apart. And so that puts one eye about in here, but this nose sticks up a little bit. And so this eye over here, it's going to be a different shape, kind of truncated against the side of the nose. All right, so expect the two eyes to be a different shape. Here's my head sticking out here. I have big cheekbones wrapping around the eye. Those cheekbones are there to protect that eye. And then I'm envisioning kind of the plane of the nose coming out and parallel with that, here it comes. So my little line in the middle of the head is coming here, and here's my little triangle. There's my snout. I'm going to have the little kitty cheek on this side is partially hidden. The kitty cheek on this side, I'm going to see the full thing. And actually, rather than a round thing, it's going to be more of an oval. And then I'm going to have my chin stick down like that. This eye gets a cheekbone. Sometimes on the cats, it's nice to think of a big triangle right up here on the forehead. And the ears are going to drop in behind that line, behind that triangle here. I want between this ear and this ear a bunch of space. So I'm going to switch pencils and start to just refine this a little bit more. I'm going to start from this eye and then build out from there. There's that little tear duct area. And remember, the corner of this eye, it's not going to be, it's going to be higher, low, high. Now, on this side, here's my little brow coming around. I'm coming down to the nose. And this side of the nose is actually wrapped around a little bit so that I don't see a full side of the kitty nose there, but this side I do. So it's weird to draw something that you know is symmetrical, but you have to draw it asymmetrically. This next one is the worst, the two sides of the mouth, because this side here is going to come down like this, steep. And this side of the mouth is, see, it's, you want to draw it like this, right? With the same angle. But this is coming up steep and then going down. On this side here, I'm going to have a little bit of my kitty cheek sticking out there. And I am also going to have my chin drop straight down and then back this way. My eye on this side is wrapped around the head, and the cheekbone is wrapped around that. Now, just looking at this, imagine where you would put the pupils in those eyes. And what's hard is that we'd say, like, if I'm going to have a pupil here, what we tend to do is put this pupil right in here, right? This one's in the middle, this one's in the middle. But hold the phone, because this pupil is on an iris that is not on the surface of the eye. It's actually set back in. So imagine this being an empty socket here, and you're looking back at it, and on the back wall of that is the little slit. So that means you'd actually be seeing further back into this cave, and that same pupil centered is there. So look at that, asymmetrical. Like, your brain wants this space to be the same as that space, doesn't it? But you can't. You can't. If you put it over here, right in the middle, you get the cross-eyed kitty, and that's just sad. All right, this eye over here is going to get some shadow. Now, I want to think about the forehead of this cat here. Right up here is going to be my two favorite bumps. All right, these little guys here. You put these things in, and the kitty starts to look. You kind of get kitty expression. Similarly, you put those pale things under the eyes, beside the eye here, and then you get that kind of like, I'm a lion look. So this side of the head, I have an ear that can stick out. Its partner is going to be over here. I'm making that one less rounded because the tip of it is more pointing a little bit more towards me. right? Last little piece in here, I'm going to drop in just a cheekbone on this guy. Those cheekbones really, really help our kitties. And that little tomcat ruff. Right. So there is, so what I would really kind of things to hit, this dark thing here, this angle, look at these little asymmetrical moments, this side of the nose versus that side, this cheek versus this cheek, this eye, and even the asymmetrical business inside that eye, that's rough, right? And here's the center line down the middle of my kitty's face again, coming out like that. I want to actually have that one come up to a bit more of a corner there. If I'm going to draw in whiskers, I can put in a few on this side. Ones on the far side, you want to put them out the same direction, right? The same width, because this whisker came out this far, right? So I'm going to do the same over here, but no, because these ones, they're tilted back a little bit here, so you're seeing them in their full length. The ones over on this side, oh, they're foreshortened whiskers. They're not going to be, they're pointing away from you. I'm going to draw those ones a little bit shorter. So now, let's go back to looking at some photos of some kitty faces. All right, so I was, when I was doing that, I was copying from this photograph over there on the left, and you can see, look at this again, look at this eye, this eye, this eye, this eye. See that pupil? Why is it cross-eyed? It's not. It's that eye, mark on that eye is on the backside of an iris that is not along the outer edge of the orb of the eye. Booyah. All right. Asymmetrical nose, far side, close side, cheeks. This little angle, right? Up, steep, back. Look at this one cut off there. That's cool. A lot of cats have a line coming down right the middle of their head. Now you have to visualize where that goes across there, but that's going to help you keep those two sides working for you. Cheekbone, cheekbone. Get those things, and your kitty's going to look like a kitty. All right, there's that big dark mark on the corner of this guy's mouth. Also, yeah, just notice this sort of this jowliness around here. See this? This is the zygomaticus muscle that is coming down here, pulls back the corner of this mouth when a big lion wants to snarl. And so you're actually seeing a depression up here, depression below that, but actually a three-part ridge going around the mouth and back there on the zygomaticus. All right. And this, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the muscles on the side of the cat. And this is where that worksheet that we developed is going to be very, very helpful. It's going to be really fun. So before we do bring this up, we're going to notice a few things. First of all, there's a whole bunch of cool ripply muscles here in the shoulder, right? Going from low on the body up diagonally here, there is a muscle along the side curling up here. And in the back leg, we're seeing these traces of muscles kind of coming down like this, coming down like this. Now let's also look at the shape of the front leg. We have a big hump up here. What's up with that? A gnarly mass of muscles right in here. That's big. That's big, right? And then leg narrowing here, skinny to the pad. The back leg seems to have more bends in it. There's a bend in here, to here, to here, to here. So you see corner, there's a corner here, corner here. So what's going on with these lion legs? Here's another lion. Up here, crazy ripple of muscles. Bump, bump, bump. What are we seeing? This diagonal across the side of the body, massive muscle back in here in this leg. Also notice back here, this is kind of interesting. Do you see this? This is, we're going to find out in a moment, this is actually the heel, spoiler alert. And it is, it's up off the ground. There's a little depression that you're seeing right behind this part right there. Huh. So wider, medium, narrow, most narrow, right before it gets to those pads, the paws. All right. So we're going to take a look then at the diagram. Don't want that, want this. Nope. Why can't I get back to my meeting? I'm going to pause and see if I can resolve the problem. All right, now we are going to play with this little lion skeleton, and we're going to add to it a bunch of muscles, and it's going to be fun. So we're going to turn this guy into just sort of a super muscular, cool critter. I am going to start with the foreleg. You're going to find that the forelegs of cats are really well developed. That does a lot of, they have to, wrestle a zebra to the ground with these things. So the muscles in their forelegs are really impressive, much more so than in a dog that doesn't have to wrestle any zebras with its forearms. It does that with its jaws. And the back leg muscle we're also going to see is big, but we're going to start up here with these. It's really fun. We're going to start with muscles that are going to kind of attach along the back side of the shoulder blade here. And they're going to insert on the top of, this is the funny bone, this is the elbow of the lion. So it's going to come from this area up here. It's actually a three-headed muscle. So I'm going to make little marks like this starting down here, kind of connecting here. And this right here, there are three heads of this muscle. We will see two of them very prominently. That is the triceps, because it's a three-headed muscle. The triceps of the arm. And you can even bulge that out a little bit more, old Arnold Schwarzenegger. All right, let's zoom in on that triceps. All right. So then we are going to have muscles that there's this little spine on the side of the shoulder blade. We're going to have muscles that go from that and also from the base of the shoulder blade here down onto the humerus, that forearm bone. And so I'm going to draw lines from up here down in here. So it's sort of a double thing here. These are our deltoids. So triceps, those are the back of the arm. Deltoids make bumps above those. So as you are going up the arm, sort of the back of the arm, you'll have the massive bump of the triceps. That's the big thing. And then you'll get these ripples above and in front of that. Those are deltoids hanging out up there. I'm going to add a couple other muscles in here, sort of to help kind of with moving this forearm. There's a muscle that attaches on the inside of the inside of the humerus here. This is the humerus bone, and it tucks underneath the triceps here, and it is going to go all the way back here, connecting along the spine there. All right, this is the latissimus muscle. Or what the weightlifters call their lats, right? And that's going to make that diagonal line up the side of the lion. So we've got our deltoids, we have our lats. Now you're wondering when I'm going to do the biceps. I'm actually not. The biceps on these guys, they're not as impressive as you would imagine. We think of biceps as being these really big, impressive muscles, but on most animals, the most that it has to curl is the weight of its own unweighted leg. A little bit larger on cats, but the triceps is really the big kind of action of running. The biceps does make a little bump. We might as well put it in since I'm talking about it this much. Just a little bump up in here. That's where the mass of it is. And you're going to kind of go from the head up in there to down here on this bone. But, nothing to get too worried about. But I know everybody always asks me about what about the biceps? You can virtually ignore them. The deltoids, those are going to show. The triceps, yeah. The lats, those are going to show. There's one other kind of front of the animal muscle that really is worth mentioning. And what it does is it's going to attach here on the back of the skull. And it is going to then go diagonally down from here. We're going to have this whole thing, and it's going to come down and actually attach on the inside of the humerus over on that area. So it makes on the side of our neck. This is the brachiocephalus muscle, and it's going to come down here and gives us, I'm going to kind of bulge it out here a little bit. And it's going to insert over the humerus there, and that's going to be kind of a big part of the structure of the neck of this beastie. Last thing up in here in the face end is there's a muscle that it's a big, beefy muscle. It goes underneath the jawbone here and up into this place. It attaches onto the jawbone, and it's going to attach on the jawbone and then attach up into the skull in this area. And that big masseter muscle is going to, oh, no, wait, sorry. It doesn't attach there. Forget this part. We're going to attach that actually on the underside of the zygomatic arch here, the little cheekbone here. So we're going to pretend I did not do that. So just like that. So that's going to give our head that deeper lion shape. Right. Now we're going to go towards the back of this critter, and we're going to go on the back leg here. We are going to go from up in this area to the top of the knee. And there is, in this area, this very large, meaty, four-headed muscle. So it's got four major parts. So quad 4. This is the quadriceps. We're not going to see, some of them are internal, so you can't see all those. So we're just going to sort of have these two big bumps like this. This big chunky thing gives you a massive bump in the front of the upper leg here. We're also going to put a large muscle. Remember, we had that the humerus. No, that was our humerus here. Why is my brain going blank? Femur. The femur is the bone that goes from here down to the knee, which I've now covered up with my big quadriceps. But I'm going to attach into the back side of that femur, right in here, one more muscle, and I'm going to attach it to that point there on the tip of the heel. But here it's going to come up as a very skinny tendon. And then that is going to go into a larger muscle back here. And that's your calf muscle. And it attaches the same way here. This is the tip of the heel. So feel back on your own leg, and you feel that little space between the bones, your ankles here in front of the ankle, go back from the ankle, and you'll feel that little tendon, right? Little depression. So you see that there's going to be a depression right here in the leg with this sort of almond-shaped depression above it. Isn't that cool? And the last little piece from the tip of the hip up here and going down in a big sheath to the top of the knee and spreading all the way across here is the biceps of the femur. The biceps femoris, they call it. So there's another big sheath bone here. So what that does is that can give you a little groove, right, like this. You can see little grooves and depressions up in here in the leg. You can see a big bump here. You'll see a ridge along the side of the body. You'll see some vertical tending depressions up here. Now, if I want to put skin on this, I can come here. Give this guy that big lion chin. Oops. Big lion chin. Broad lion head. I'm going to go back here over the bump of the shoulder blade, along the back. And when you get to the hips, there's a slope down. The belly is going to be down in here, and up in here it tucks up this direction, and then there's a little piece of skin. It's not that like in a human being our leg is attached here and this whole piece is loose. In these guys, the muscles here are embedded in the body. Coming up from the leg, there's a little piece of skin that kind of comes and attaches from here on. The leg is going to be loose, but we're going to kind of tuck up into that. And then the leg is going to go big, medium, skinny, and foot. The leg up here goes big, out to the elbow. So big all across there, big. Here's that shoulder blade sticking up. Medium, coming down on a little cone. Skinny, and foot. My tail. And that is a few of the muscles that are going to make up your lion, right? So you'll see those as prominent features on the side of the body. So if I'm going to zoom back, all right? So if I have a lion, I'm going to just draw in a few little lines that are going to suggest a lot of the kind of the musculature of this animal. So here I'm just giving this curve down, out, skinny, foot. Now, I'm going to show you just a few little lines on the outside that I find is like really kind of high percentage things. So up in here, I've got this whole shoulder blade and triceps are all in this area. So kind of, you often will just see sort of a little bit of a, oh, sorry about that. And in this area, you're going to see that there may be just sort of a hint of muscles in this area, sort of a mass of stuff and a mass of stuff. Back here, look for a little groove in the skin. All right, that's coming along the back side of this biceps femoris. That often shows up really well. When it's flexed, you will see a large mass of muscle in this area making a big bump. But you won't see that when it's relaxed. This groove you're going to see just about all the time. Back here in the back of the leg, you have this depression. Up in here, you are going to have sometimes a little line and sometimes a big kind of line suggesting part of the triceps. And then up above that, you can get sort of bumps of the deltoids. You'll see that little lat line coming in across the body. And you also will often see just this very big kind of ridge coming down here on the side of the face. All right, so this here, in shorthand, you get a few lines on the side of the body that we can then look at and go like, oh, okay, I know what that is. I know what that is. I've seen that. And we can drop it in with our lion shape, and it just helps you make sense of a few of the kind of key muscle lines on the side of the body. We're now going to return to those pictures, the photographs of those lions walking around. Oh yeah. All right. All right, now this is going to start to make more sense. All right. So you see this shadow coming up here. Actually, you see this kind of trending off in there. All right. You know what that is. All right. Let's look in this big ripply mass here. Here's this big bump at the very top. That's our shoulder blade sticking up. Here's the elbow. What is this big bump? What do we have in here? And in front of that, kind of more of the vertical down angle to them, we have two heads of something going on in here. Actually, this and this. Here, we have triceps down here. Up here, you already said it, you called it, it's the deltoids, all right? So we have deltoids, we have our triceps. Here's those lats across the side of the body. Here's our quadriceps. And here's that little depression on the back side of the leg. All right. So you can put in just a few of these things. They make sharp little shadows. They make sharp little shadows. And you can make sense out of what you're seeing. Here's the elbow. What is this mass in here? What's this big bump? See a couple of heads of it. It's all triceps. We're seeing an angle of some of the deltoids coming down in here. Look at that. Here is our quad. I'm really not seeing that little groove that you often see at the back side of the leg from this angle, so sorry about that. Oh, but look at this, look at this. Here's that skin that stretches up in here, the tummy tucks up under it. See, on us, on human beings, this piece of skin isn't there. And so our leg is jointed from up here, right? But this is going to be more attached down here. And then look at this lovely little Achilles tendon moment down here. Big vein coming across there, Achilles tendon. Right. So if you have a pet cat, what you want to do is to start patting your cat and actually give your cat a full-on massage where and they're going to love it. Just sort of, you're going to rub the shoulders, and then you're going like, oh, your scapula's in here. Here's your triceps. And as you're doing that, you're feeling all those different parts of the kitty, and kind of work your way around and across and through the kitty. Your cat's going to love it. They're going to be purring up a storm while you are learning your anatomy. And then when they get in some weird cat yoga position, you can kind of like, oh, I understand what is happening with your anatomy. You want to be able to get to the point where you kind of look at a cat and kind of like, oh, all right, yeah, there's your shoulder blade, right? There's your triceps. I see what's going on with you, right? Here's your elbow, right? And feel them, feel where their ribs are, feel all these different sort of parts of your kitty. And you give them a massage, and you can understand all these different little parts of your cat, big and small. Right? If you practice, if you just follow your cat around, what's going to happen is they are going to go through all of these little cat poses for you. And what you want to do is just to move, to try to quickly get them down, and then to try to fill in as much as you can from your understanding of muscles and memory. But when your brain goes, yeah, I don't have anything else, just go on to the next cat pose, the next cat pose, the next cat pose. So you can stalk your cat around the house and try to get gesture sketches of some of the quick parts, and you put all these things together, and you are going to have a really good understanding of cat anatomy that you'll be able to apply to lions, to bobcats, to lynx, to servals, to caracals, to whatever you might encounter out there. It is a lot of fun, and these little beasties can do so much to help you be able to start to understand, to really feel it, and then to have your understanding reflected on the pages of your journal. I hope that this workshop has been helpful to you. You don't need to worry about having to make this all be really pretty pictures. Think of these as studies, right? I want to understand this cat better, and give yourself permission to put a ton of stuff down on the page as you're chasing your cat through the house. Put a lot of stuff down on the page without having to worry about it. It needs to even look like a cat. But if because you did that, you noticed something else, it made you think about something else, it made you give your cat a massage in a slightly different way, then the activity is successful. That's all going to encode in your brain, and it's going to be there available for the next cat drawing, the next cat drawing, and the next cat drawing. When you do this, give yourself the flexibility and the permission to make mistakes. In order to really draw cats well, you need to make 500 mistakes. So start on those right now. Make those 500 right now. Just kind of get them out of the way, and then the rest will be like, oh yeah, I got the cat, right? It's all about learning. And pencil miles, the more of these you have to kind of get in there and sharpen again and again and again, it's going to make a big difference in your ability to see something, have your brain understand it, and have your hand on the page do something that's in response to what you're seeing, that makes anatomical sense and looks like what you're actually perceiving. I find it really helps to have some anatomical understanding, have a kitty massage understanding of what you're looking at. You put all that together and then trust your eye, and those pictures are going to go. Have fun with it. And I look forward to seeing your pictures. Please share some of these on the Nature Journal Club Facebook page, and have fun with your cats. And they're going to have fun with it too. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Be kind.